Hello. Today, the Ghana Statistical Service released the June 2025 CPI and inflation figures. The good news is that year-on-year inflation is still coming down, and on month-on-month basis, we see the general price level actually decreasing. Year-on-year inflation declined by 4.7 percentage points to 13.7 in June 2025, down from 18.4% in May 2025, marking the lowest rate since December 2021, and the sixth straight decline in inflation. On month-on-month basis, the general price level declined by 1.2% between May and June 2025. The trends we are seeing in both year-on-year and month-on-month inflation rate is a clear signal of sustained price stability and short-term price easing. Core inflation, which is inflation excluding energy, utilities, transportation items, eased significantly as well to 8.3%, down from 19.5% in May 2025, indicating that the underlying pressures in inflation are cooling. Year-on-year inflation, with regards to food inflation, declined by 6.5 percentage points to 16.3% in June, whilst non-food inflation dropped by 3 percentage points to 11.4%. The general price level of food items also reduced by 0.5% between May and June 2025, whilst non-food items reduced by 1.8% over the same period. Year-on-year inflation dropped by 4.9 percentage points to 15.2 percentage points in June with regards goods inflation. The general price level for goods inflation also reduced by 1.2% between May and June 2025. Similarly, on services, we saw inflation dropped by 5 percentage points to 9.3% in June, with the general price level for services reducing by 3.3% between May and June 2025. So year-on-year inflation for locally produced goods and services ended June 2025 at 14.0%, which is still higher than that for imported items at 12.5% at the end of June. We see that both locally produced goods and services and imported items inflation are declining, but the decline is much higher for local items than for imported items. The general price level for local items fell by 1.1% between May and June 2025, whilst that for imported items fell by 1.8%. The Upper West region continued to register the highest inflation at a striking 32.3%, compared to the national average of 13.7%. At the same time, we saw Bono East registering the lowest inflation at 8.4%, indicating that there's a widespread variation among regions when it comes to inflation. What are the top contributors to the June 2025 inflation? With regards to the divisions, the top 5 divisions that contributed the most to inflation are food and non-alcoholic beverages, which contributed 7 percentage points to inflation, housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, which contributed 2.4 percentage points to inflation, clothing and footwear, which contributed 1.4 percentage points to inflation, recreation, sports, and culture contributed 0.7 percentage points to inflation. And finally, alcoholic beverages, tobacco, and narcotics contributed 0.6 percentage points to inflation. Altogether, these 5 divisions contributed 85% to the June inflation of 13.7%. Again, on item basis, the 5 items that contributed the most to inflation are rent payments, which contributed 2.3 percentage points to inflation, electricity, which contributed 1.2 percentage points, refuse disposal, which contributed 0.7 percentage points, charcoal, 0.6 percentage points, and then yam, which contributed 0.4 percentage points. Altogether, these 5 items contributed 37% to the June inflation of 13.7%. Similarly, with regards to regional contribution to inflation, the Greater Accra region contributed the most to inflation at 3.5 percentage points out of the 13.7% inflation, whilst the Ashanti region and Eastern region contributed 3.3 percentage points and 1.3 percentage points respectively. The Western region contributed 1.2 percentage points, whilst the Central region contributed 1 percentage point to the June inflation of 13.7%. Altogether, these 5 regions contributed 75% to the June inflation of 13.7%. With these inflation outcomes, the recommendation we have for household, government, and businesses are as follows. For households, with food inflation still contributing 7 percentage points to the 13.7% headline rate, households should lean into bulk purchases of staples, buy local produce where possible, and favor in-season vegetables, cereals, and proteins, which are experiencing sharper price declines. With electricity, refuse disposal, and rent being among the biggest drivers of inflation, households should explore energy-saving practices. With regards to businesses, with inflation on locally produced goods declining faster than imported ones, businesses can reduce exposure to global supply shocks by increasing local sourcing, especially for food, packaging, and logistics inputs. In addition, businesses could practice strategic pricing, not sharp increases, given the disinflation and even month-on-month deflation as consumers are more price sensitive. For government, since food remains a dominant inflation driver, government should continue to invest in transport infrastructure, irrigation, food storage, and market linkages, particularly in the north, where food inflation is high. Government could also tailor social protection and economic policy by region, as blanket policies will not be effective in this circumstance given the wide regional disparities we see in inflation. There will be the need for government to expand targeted LEAP support, the National Health Insurance Scheme outreach, school feeding program, and undertake price monitoring in high inflation areas to ensure equity in responses. Government could also lock in the inflation gains we are making and stay the course on fiscal consolidation, implementation of strategic growth initiatives, and appropriate monetary policy. Thank you very much.